How do I know if I have low testosterone levels? What are the symptoms I should have if my testosterone levels are not adequate? If you're interested in these questions, you're also going to be interested in this video. Hi folks, it's Dr. Borja Bandera with another medicine, nutrition, and exercise video on your channel. Before we start talking about testosterone in today's video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, it helps me a lot. Also give it a thumbs up, it helps a ton. And if you love these videos, hit the bell to stay updated and receive video upload notifications. Uploads that are made up to twice a week. This ensures you stay updated on medicine, nutrition, exercise, metabolism. Okay, let's start now, guys. We start by talking about another hormone. Earlier, we discussed prolactin, a much-debated hormone. A hormone that also brings you many questions and many doubts, but perhaps today's might be even more important. We're talking about testosterone. It's the main male hormone. And as the main male hormone, it has actions that are very important, that are essential, okay? Both women and men have testosterone, androgens in general. It's just that men have much higher concentrations of androgen. So as a summary to today's video, what are we going to learn? First, we are going to learn how testosterone is produced, where it is produced, what mechanisms produce it, because it must be clear. We must understand the mechanism of testosterone production to understand what happens when there are not enough androgen levels. Then we are going to see what the symptoms are for a person who does not have adequate testosterone levels. In this case, mainly males. We are going to talk about males. What symptoms would a person with androgen deficiency syndrome feel? Which is more common than you think. And then, to finish, we are going to see how that diagnosis of hypogonadism in men or androgen deficiency syndrome would be made, okay? As it is usually called in English-speaking countries. So guys, let's get started. If you see a drop of sweat fall from me here, it's because it's a little hot in Malaga in July, okay? Let's go! We're starting! We have, as we have already explained in other videos with other hormones, to keep in mind three organs or three locations fundamentally, which are hypothalamus, pituitary, and peripheral glands, which in this case we talk about testicles, because they are the glands that concern us today. The hypothalamus, a region located at the base of the brain, in this case plays an important role because it secretes the hormone called gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or gonadotropin-releasing hormone, from its initials in English. This gonadotropin-releasing hormone is released in pulses of 60 to 90 minutes. Okay? This means that it does not have a continuous secretion, but every 60-90 minutes there is a pulse of release, and this stimulates the anterior pituitary. Do not confuse it with the little eggs, because this gland looks like little eggs. It's that curiosity it has. It looks like a little egg. But no, it's a pituitary gland or pituitary gland, which is also its name. In the anterior part of the gland, well, there is a group of cells that produce, under the stimulation of gonadotropin-releasing hormone LH and follicle-stimulating hormone, okay? Luteinizing hormone and follicle-stimulating hormone. Well, these hormones have a role on the testicles. What is the function of the testicles, guys? This has to be very clear to you. Well, there are two. The first function of the testicles is the production of testosterone. Testosterone. The second is spermatogenesis. That is, the production of sperm are its two functions, therefore. When we are going to have hypogonadism, when the testicle does not fulfill either one or the other, or none of the functions for which the testicle is designed well. Speaking of LH and follicle-stimulating hormone, the LH, acting on some cells that in this case are the purple ones here, called Leydig cells, produces testosterone, okay? It is the Leydig cells that, when the LH receptor binds to the androgen receptor, in this case to the testosterone receptor, testosterone is produced in these cells, okay? And there is another protagonist in the testicles, which are the seminiferous tubules. In the seminiferous tubules, guys, under the stimulus of follicle-stimulating hormone and testosterone, spermatogenesis occurs, the production of sperm. So we already know how sperm are produced, how testosterone is produced, and we are going to move on to mainly see what symptoms and signs occur. An androgen deficiency syndrome, okay? Well, we have already learned how the testicles produce both spermatogenesis and testosterone. But this testosterone does not act in all organs in the same way. For example, in muscle and adipose tissue, testosterone acts as it is produced in the testicles, okay? In its native form, it binds to the receptor called androgen receptor and performs its action by increasing muscle strength, muscle mass, reducing adipose tissue, the functions we know. But this does not happen in all organs. For example, in the brain and in the bone, testosterone needs its conversion by the aromatase enzyme to estrogens. Notice how curious that testosterone is converted to estrogens to exert its action in some organs such as the bone. But I go further, in the skin, hair, and prostate. Testosterone requires its conversion by the 5-alpha reductase enzyme to dihydrotestosterone. You may have heard of a family of drugs called 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. The most well-known is finasteride. There are others like dutasteride. But what finasteride does is precisely inhibit this enzyme. That's why when there's an enlargement of the prostate, prostatic hyperplasia, when there's hair loss, us men go bald, okay? This drug, finasteride, is also a very commonly used drug for this very reason. And now we are going to talk about what symptoms a male would have with low levels of testosterone. Well, the symptoms are low sexual desire, low libido, fewer morning erections, and erections in general, but morning erections are quite closely related to testosterone levels. So you know that morning erections are symptoms of health in men. Guys, we would also have other, perhaps more non-specific symptoms, such as hair loss, weight gain, especially belly fat and visceral fat, okay? Fat that stays in the organs or between the organs. We would have difficulty concentrating, irritability, okay? We would also have, there is a symptom, a sign rather, that can occur in this syndrome, which is gynecomastia, okay? That is the abnormal enlargement of the mammary gland in males. The growth in the male of the mammary gland due to an imbalance, a disequilibrium between the androgens that would be decreased and the estrogens that in this case would be on the rise. When this balance is upset, gynecomastia can occur. It can even happen that the testicles decrease in size or do not develop if we are prepubescent. These would be the main symptoms that we should have if our androgen levels do not reach normality. If you feel any of these symptoms, it could be due to this, a testosterone deficiency, or it might not be. It could be due to something else. It could be due to stress. It could be due to another illness. It could be suggestion. We don't know. So, what objective data do we have to know that there are low levels of testosterone? Well, it's the analytical determinations. So the diagnosis of an androgen deficiency syndrome, of hypogonadism in men, is made with analytical determinations. In this case, most clinical practice guidelines recommend that up to 3 separate testosterone determinations over time, with a difference of a few weeks between them being low. coupled with signs or symptoms of hypogonadism that we just reviewed, okay? Would be enough to diagnose hypogonadism. Hypogonadism that can be primary, secondary. We will discuss this at another time and in another video, okay? This is how it would be diagnosed. These would be the symptoms and signs. And this is how testosterone would be produced in the testicles. Okay, very important the video today. If you are interested in this topic, in other videos, in a future video, we can talk about the so-called testosterone replacement therapy. Very fashionable is to say the replacement therapy that we doctors do when we have a patient who has low levels of testosterone. Replace the testosterone. There are various ways of administering exogenous testosterone. There are injectables, there are even oral ones, there are patches, there are gels. We can discuss this in another video. And above all, we can discuss whether in older people or at a certain age where testosterone levels are going down due to physiological decline, is it ethical or appropriate to replace these testosterone levels with exogenous testosterone? This is a very controversial debate and one that is talked about a lot, so we can comment on it in another video, which would be, what is my opinion of testosterone replacement therapy? So without further ado, guys, I leave you here. I leave you with this video. Leave me your doubts and your feedback in the comments. See you in the next video. Don't forget to check out Instagram, daily content, free and Patreon exclusive, and weekly content. A big hug. Stay well and keep empowering.